Time for focus. And as European leaders struggle to agree on how to deal with the Mediterranean migrant crisis, we report now from one of the countries migrants travel to Europe from, Ghana. Although it's not as poor or unstable as some of its African neighbours, it's thought that each year thousands of Ghanaians, mainly from central Ghana, try to get across the Mediterranean in the hope of a better life in Europe. Our correspondent in Ghana spoke to some locals about why they're prepared to risk their lives.
I was doing a liberal work by day. That's what I used to do when I was in Ghana. And the situation here was very difficult at that time.
Kojo was just 15 when he decided he would try to get to Europe. It was the first time he had ever left Ghana.
My mother also died early, and my father refused to take care of us, so we were just trying our best to get food and clothes for ourselves.
Kojo travelled through unofficial border points to Libya. He then paid a smuggler €800 for a place in a ship going to Italy. It turned out to be a dinghy.
At that time we were on the sea, so there's nowhere to go. So we are 75 people. We just sit in and they take us to in front. We spent 5 days. We lost directions, and at last our balloon inflated. So we were just tossing by the waves. And finally we arrived Tunis.
The International Organization for Migration, or IOM, found Kojo in a holding facility in Tunisia. He accepted their offer of assisted return, along with money and advice to start his own business back in Ghana. But not all of his friends and family were pleased to see him.
Some said, "Why have you come so soon?" Others said, "Some of your friends are over there working, why you didn't join them?" And others asked, "When you return back?"
Like Kojo, the majority of Ghanaian migrants come from the Brong Ahafo region in central Ghana. It's an area with high youth unemployment. Many believe they can find better paid work in Europe. There's little official data on just how many Ghanaians attempt the journey each year, but figures are suspected to be in the thousands. Most travel illegally through unofficial border points to get out of Ghana.
The whole of the northern part is actually very porous. Now, because of the unavailability of logistics, our patrol teams that are supposed to actually patrol the border do not have vehicles to do that. We still have, at this time, we're still doing foot patrols, which are largely ineffective, because we're talking about a frontier area of close to 300 kilometers.
The government wants to try and stop unsafe migration at source, but for now, this region's only information centre about safe migration isn't fit for purpose. The European Union wants to help. It's pledged €3 million over the next 3 years to build and fund a new centre run by the Ghanaian government and IOM.
When you talk to some of these young people, they will tell you they're looking at the news. Many of them know how difficult and dangerous it is. Some of them know people who died, some of their friends. So they have some understanding of the dangers, which means that just information sharing is not enough. You also need to work with these young people to explain the potential that there is at home, to explain the risks in a way that they can resonate with.
But it may be too late to stop these men. All in their early 20s, they plan to go to Europe to work and go via boat to get there. They know it's illegal and ask for their identities to be hidden. They say their families encourage them to go.
They don't have money, so they can't tell me that stop, go. But they told me that go, it will be fine.
Are you scared about the journey?
It's not easy. It's hard. Life is like game. Either you lose or you win. So either you survive or you die. It's not easy, but we force ourselves to go.
These men all say if they could support themselves in Ghana, they wouldn't leave. But without any decent job prospects or a realistic chance of getting a visa to Europe, they are adamant a journey across the desert and sea is their only option.
And joining me now from Geneva is Vincent Chetaille, Director of the Global Migration Centre. Hello, thank you very much indeed for your time. Now, European leaders haven't agreed on a quota system, not yet anyway, but is it even a good idea?
Yes, I think that the quota system could be a good idea provided that this is implemented in an efficient and fair way. Labour migration does correspond to an economic need of Europe. And there is, in fact, a gap between official discourse in Europe against labour migration and the economic need for such a foreign labour force. And the need for labour migration does concern both unskilled and skilled migrants. For instance, there is a need for unskilled migrants in the agriculture, whereas the medical services are important for skilled migrants. So clearly, and the fact is that Europe is more and more attractive also because of the failure of development in African countries, clearly, but also this has been exacerbated by the situation in Libya. Traffickers benefit from the instability in Libya, which is a direct result of the European military intervention. So we also need to build and restore peace in Libya in order to tackle this situation. But more generally, the irregular migration is only one parcel of the broader phenomenon because, for instance, just to mention one figure, 60% of doctors educated in Ghana are working abroad, mainly in the US and the UK, and this brain drain is a key challenge for Ghana. So clearly, there are both skilled and unskilled migrants are used to move in order to find new opportunities. But migration is more a south-south phenomenon than a south-north phenomenon. Yes?
So in our report, we see how the International Organization for Migration is actually helping Ghanaians to stay at home by helping some of them, for example, set up their own businesses. But what you're saying is that might be very well and good for people who are unskilled workers, but it doesn't benefit everyone. Exactly.
And we need also to take into account one basic fact. Most migration is done within the region of Western Africa. More than 90% of migrants are in West African states. So clearly only a very limited portion of migrants are used to go to Europe.
And do you think that there should be any differentiation at all between migrants like those we saw in our report who seek a better life in Europe but aren't fleeing particularly difficult circumstances, or at least not conflict, and those who are fleeing war?
Yes, of course. And there is a basic distinction in the fact that refugees from war and persecution must be protected as such. And there is a duty of protection under international law of persons fleeing war and persecution. Whereas for labor migration, the legal framework is more hesitating, and that is why irregular migration is more important in the field of labor migration, because as Europe has closed its border to labor migration, of course, irregular migration will continue to grow as a side effect of the closure of border to labor migration. And that is why we need an ambitious discussions and debate about migration, which must be done in an objective way, because we need migrants. And the problem is that political discourse do not reflect the reality of the ground and the economic reality. There is a need of workers.
So you're saying that even if they're not legally required to look after these people, European states, I mean, they should still be opening their arms to them because they might in fact benefit from having them in their countries?
Completely. Exactly.
And
yes.
so this approach whereby they're saying certain numbers should be sent home is actually counterproductive. It's not a good idea at all.
Totally. And I mean, since 2 decades, we have the proof that labor migration control doesn't work. We need a more regulated and open regime in order to provide opportunities in economic sectors where there is a need for labor migration.
Okay, Vincent Chita, I'm afraid we have to leave it there. We've run out of time.
Okay.
We really appreciate you joining us, though. Thank you very much.